Picture this. A Navy destroyer sits in the Pacific Ocean, calm waters, clear sky. Then the radar operator sees something that makes his blood run cold. 300 red dots, all moving together, all closing in fast. This isn't a movie. This is what the U.S. Navy is preparing for right now. And by the end of this video, I'll answer the biggest questions everyone's asking about this technology. Let's get into it. Something happened in the Black Sea that changed naval warfare forever. Ukrainian forces took cheap civilian drones, attached explosives, and turned them into weapons. These weren't million-dollar missiles. These were garage-built boats controlled by guys with laptops. Each one cost about $20,000. The Russian warships they attacked? Worth hundreds of millions. And it worked? Admirals across the world watched those attacks and realized the same thing. The rules just changed. You don't need the biggest navy anymore. You need the smartest one. Because thousands of cheap drones working together can overwhelm even the most powerful warships on Earth. Now, before I explain exactly what they're building, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let me tell you what drone swarms actually are, because most people get this wrong. When you hear the word drone, you probably think of someone with a remote control flying a single aircraft. That's old technology. Modern drone swarms are completely different. Think about how birds fly in formation. No single bird is in charge. They all make decisions together. They move as one unit. That's what AI-powered drone swarms do. The Navy isn't just building flying drones. They're building swarms for 3 different environments. Drones in the air for reconnaissance and attack. Drone boats on the water for patrol and defense. Underwater drones for hunting submarines and clearing mines. And here's the scary part. They all talk to each other. They all coordinate. They all make decisions together using artificial intelligence. Now let me explain why the Navy thinks this technology will decide who wins the next war. First one, the ammo problem. Every warship has a limited number of weapons. An American destroyer carries 96 missiles. That sounds like a lot until you do the math. What happens when an enemy launches 500 drones at that destroyer? Even if every single missile hits its target, the ship runs out of ammo after 96 kills. The other 400 drones keep coming. The ship is defenseless. Each interceptor missile costs over $4 million. Each attacking drone costs $20,000. The enemy spends $10 million to launch 500 drones. You spend $400 million to stop them. You win the battle, but lose the war because you can't afford to keep fighting. Drone swarms solve this problem. Instead of expensive missiles, the Navy can launch thousands of cheap autonomous drones. If you lose 50 drones in a fight, you launch 50 more. The magazine never runs empty. Second one, speed. Human beings are slow. I don't mean physically, I mean mentally. It takes humans several seconds to see a threat, analyze it, make a decision, and take action. Modern weapons move faster than that. A hypersonic missile travels at 9 times the speed of sound. By the time a human identifies it, the missile has already hit its target. Artificial intelligence thinks in milliseconds. A drone swarm with AI can detect a threat, communicate with hundreds of other drones, change formation, and counterattack before a human crew even realizes what's happening. This isn't about replacing sailors. It's about giving them superhuman reaction time when physics demands it. The Navy tested this in the Pacific. Autonomous boats detected an incoming simulated missile. They shared data across the swarm. They coordinated a defensive response. Total time? less than 2 seconds. No human gave those orders. The AI made every decision within rules set by commanders. That speed advantage wins wars. The side that thinks faster controls the battle. Third one, force multiplication. Here's what a Navy carrier strike group normally looks like. One aircraft carrier, several destroyers, a couple cruisers, maybe a submarine. That's roughly 10 major ships costing tens of billions of dollars. That strike group can control an area maybe 100 miles across. That's impressive. But now, watch what happens when you add drones. Add 300 autonomous drones to that same strike group. 50 aerial drones create a sensor network covering 200 miles in every direction. 75 surface drones patrol the edges looking for submarines. 50 underwater drones hunt for mines. 100 loitering drones carry weapons and can strike targets within minutes. Suddenly, that carrier group sees everything within an ocean area the size of Texas. The enemy can't get close without being detected. They can't hide without being found. They can't attack without facing hundreds of defensive platforms. The drones don't replace the ships. They multiply their power by 10 times or more. This is why the Navy is betting everything on drone swarms. It's not about cool technology. It's about survival. Now let me show you what the Navy is actually building, because this isn't theoretical. These systems exist right now. The program that started it all was called LOCUST. That stands for Low-Cost UAV Swarming Technology. The Navy took dozens of small drones, packed them into tubes mounted on ships, and launched them all at once. The drones flew out, formed up in mid-air, and coordinated attacks on targets completely autonomously. The test worked. The concept was proven. Now they're scaling up production. Then came Ghost Fleet Overlord. These are unmanned warships, full-size Navy vessels with no crew on board. The first one made a 30-day voyage from California to Hawaii, completely autonomous, no humans aboard. The ship navigated through shipping lanes, avoided other vessels, and arrived on schedule. Think about that. A warship crossed the Pacific Ocean by itself. The Navy isn't building one or two of these. They're building dozens. Current plans call for hundreds of unmanned vessels by 2028. If you're enjoying this breakdown, go ahead and subscribe. We dig deep into defense technology that other channels don't cover. But hardware is only half the story. The real magic happens with the artificial intelligence controlling these swarms. The drones communicate using mesh networks. Every drone acts like a cell phone tower. They all talk to each other. If you jam one connection, the network routes around it instantly. You can't shut down a swarm by attacking one communication link because there isn't one main link. There are hundreds, constantly changing. This is where most people stop paying attention. Everyone talks about offense, building drones, attacking targets. But the Navy is just as focused on defense, because if America can build drone swarms, so can China and Russia. Counter-swarm weapons are developing right now. High-energy lasers are the first defense layer. The Navy installed a system called Helios on destroyers. It shoots invisible beams of light that burn through drones at the speed of light. The cost per shot? About $1 of diesel fuel. Compare that to a $4 million missile. A laser can engage unlimited targets as long as the ship has power. But lasers have problems. They work on one target at a time. Bad weather disrupts them. They need a clear line of sight. Against hundreds of drones arriving simultaneously, lasers aren't enough. That's why the Navy is building microwave weapons. These blast energy across a wide area, frying every electronic circuit in the beam. The Leonidas system can disable dozens of drones with one pulse. It's like an EMP weapon that targets specific areas. The Navy is also developing AI targeting systems that track hundreds of objects at once. Old radar systems get overwhelmed when too many dots appear on screen. New systems use machine learning to identify threats, predict where they're going, and prioritize which ones to kill first. Now here's what most people don't realize. Technology alone doesn't win wars. People do. The Navy is training a completely new type of sailor. These aren't traditional weapons officers. They're part programmer, part tactician, part engineer. They need to understand how AI makes decisions, how networks function, how autonomous systems fail. The Navy is creating an entire career field from scratch. They're testing these concepts in war games. The Joint Interagency Field Experimentation Program brings together different military branches and private companies to test swarm coordination in realistic scenarios. A recent exercise involved over 200 autonomous vehicles from different manufacturers working under one unified AI command. The lessons learned are shaping procurement decisions right now. This isn't just America working alone. Allied countries are building their own systems. Australia has the Loyal Wingman program creating autonomous fighter aircraft. The United Kingdom is testing drone combat scenarios. NATO is establishing standards so allied swarms can work together in future conflicts. Let me paint you a picture of how this actually works in combat. South China Sea, 2027. An American carrier strike group operates near disputed waters. Chinese vessels shadow the formation. Tensions are high. The carrier doesn't want war, but needs to maintain freedom of navigation. At dawn, the strike group launches its drone screen. 75 autonomous boats spread across 200 square miles. They look harmless, small, slow, and unarmed, but each one carries sensors monitoring everything around them. 100 miles ahead of the carrier, these drones create a sensor fence. Anything approaching gets detected and tracked long before it becomes dangerous. The drones don't need weapons. They just watch and report. Above the water, 50 aerial drones fly continuous patrols at different heights. Some carry radar. Others have electronic warfare equipment. A few are decoys designed to attract enemy attention. They coordinate automatically, shifting positions based on what they see. Below the surface, 20 underwater drones map the seabed and listen for submarines. They work in teams using search patterns impossible for any single manned platform. The human crew on the carrier watches all this data on computer screens. They see everything the swarms see, filtered and organized by AI. The sailors don't control individual drones. They set objectives and let the systems execute. This is distributed warfare made real. The carrier group's awareness extends hundreds of miles in every direction. Any enemy trying to approach gets detected early. And if threats do appear, the swarms provide enough warning time for commanders to decide how to respond. But let's talk about the scenario everyone worries about. What happens when enemy swarms attack? The adversary launches 300 drones from land bases, mixed types. Some carry explosives, others are decoys, all coordinated by their own AI. They approach from multiple directions simultaneously, timing their arrival for maximum impact. The carrier group's defensive swarms detect them immediately. They don't wait for human authorization within pre-approved rules of engagement. The friendly swarms move to intercept. Aerial drones equipped with jammers start disrupting the attacking swarm's communications. Some attackers lose coordination, others continue autonomously. The defensive swarms share targeting data instantly. Lasers on the destroyers engage targets at maximum range. They work methodically, one at a time, prioritizing the most dangerous threats based on AI analysis. Microwave weapons pulse when clusters get close, frying electronics across wide areas. Dozens of drones tumble into the ocean, their computers dead. Defensive drones carry small interceptor weapons. They position themselves in the attacker's path and release nets, flares, or projectiles. Many attackers fall to these cheap countermeasures. The final layer is traditional close-in weapons, the ship's last defense. But by the time attacking drones reach this range, 90% are already destroyed. The remaining threats are manageable. The entire fight lasts 4 minutes from detection to final intercept. Human commanders monitored everything and could have intervened at any moment. They didn't need to. The autonomous systems performed as designed. 0 ships damaged, 0 sailors injured, several dozen friendly drones lost, replaced from spare stocks within hours. The carrier group continues its mission. This is the vision driving Navy investment, not science fiction, not decades away. This technology is in testing now. Let me be absolutely clear about something. The Navy isn't building Skynet. These systems don't make strategic decisions. They don't decide when to go to war. They operate within strict limits set by human commanders. Defense Department policy requires meaningful human control over lethal force. AI can recommend targets, coordinate movements, and execute defensive actions. But offensive strikes against people require human authorization. This isn't just policy. It's programmed into the code. Now let's address cost. Isn't this technology incredibly expensive? Actually, it's the opposite. That's what makes it revolutionary. A single destroyer costs $2 billion and needs 300 sailors. Operating costs run tens of millions every year. A large unmanned vessel costs $50 million and requires no crew at sea. Small autonomous boats cost tens of thousands each. The Navy can field 20 large unmanned ships for the cost of 1 destroyer. Those 20 ships can deploy 2,000 small drones. That's distributed capability on a scale impossible with traditional platforms. By 2028, Navy plans call for swarms controlled by voice commands. Commanders won't program complex mission parameters. They'll simply tell an AI what they want using plain English. The system translates that intent into coordinated swarm actions across all domains. Future conflicts will feature autonomous systems fighting autonomous systems while human commanders make high-level decisions. The side with better AI, stronger networks, and superior coordination wins decisively. Now let me answer the biggest questions people have about this. Could drone swarms actually overwhelm an American aircraft carrier? Technically, yes. That's exactly why the Navy is building defensive swarms. Every defense system has capacity limits. Launch enough coordinated threats at once, and some will get through. The solution is matching volume with volume. Deploy more defensive drones than the enemy can deploy attacking drones. The side that can produce, coordinate, and sustain larger swarms holds the advantage. What if a swarm loses communication or gets hacked? Swarms have fallback modes. If communication drops, drones continue on pre-programmed instructions. They might search, return to base, or hold position depending on last orders. Mesh networking means losing one link doesn't kill the whole swarm. For hacking, multiple security layers protect these systems. Encrypted communications use frequency hopping. GPS has anti-spoofing. Edge computing lets drones make local decisions without constant external input. Cyber threats are real, but the Navy constantly tests and updates defenses. Is this fully autonomous warfare? We're moving toward higher autonomy, but humans stay in control. There's a difference between autonomous navigation versus autonomous killing. Current policy requires human authorization for offensive strikes. Swarms primarily do intelligence, surveillance, communications, electronic warfare, and defensive screening. For lethal force, commanders remain in the loop. The change isn't replacing people. It's expanding human reach when milliseconds matter. The U.S. Navy is preparing for AI drone swarms because naval warfare has fundamentally changed. The next conflict will be won by whoever deploys and coordinates autonomous systems at the largest scale across multiple domains. The technology exists now. Programs are moving to operational deployment. Adversaries are racing to match these capabilities. The next decade determines which nations successfully integrate swarms into military doctrine and which fall behind. If you want more coverage of military technology shaping future conflicts, subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.